Parshiyos Behar Bechukosai Shabbos Chazak, and just like that, another Chumash, another Seder of the Parshiyos is done. It seems like just yesterday, I always say that, then we finish Bereshis, then we finish Shemois, and here we go, we're going now on to the summer months. Next week and another week from now, about a little more than a week, 10 days, is going to be Shavuos. So we're moving right along, and we have a beautiful, beautiful Nesivos Shalom on Parshas Behar, on the first of this week's two Parshiyos. And at the beginning of the Parsha, we speak about Shemitah. Very famously so, Nesivos Shalom speaks so many good lessons, and with Shemitah comes so many beautiful lessons of Emunah and Bitachon. And one of the Psukim says as follows, and this pasuk in Nesivos Shalom really speaks a lot about, and it's kedai just to listen to the beautiful lessons that we have here in the Nesivos Shalom. Pasuk says, "V'chi soimeru," you have a tzivoy of Shemitah, and the tzivoy is not to work the land for the 7th year. So the pasuk tells us, "V'chi soimeru ma noichal." If you're going to say, "Ma noichal," what are we going to eat in the 7th year? If we don't work the land, if we don't do any work, what are we going to eat? The Shemitah year is going to be here, and a person might say, we can't work the land at all this year. What are we going to eat in the 7th year? How's this going to work out? So the Sefer HaKadosh, Be'er Mayim Chaim, says a beautiful pshat on this pasuk, and of course brought down here in the Nesivos Shalom. And he says like this, V'chi soimru. Normally, we translate the pasuk to mean that if you're going to say, what are we going to eat? Says the Be'er Mayim Chaim, V'chi soimru is not a question of whether you're going to be able to eat at all. The question of the pasuk is, someone keeping Shemitah, says the Be'er Mayim Chaim, of course he has tremendous emunah and bitachon without any question. It's a beautiful high madrega to keep Shemitah. But what's the pasuk telling you? What's the question? The question was never if I'm going to be able to eat in the 7th year. The only question is how it's going to happen. Avada, you're keeping Shemitah. You have such emunah bitachon that you're not working the land. You believe that you're going to be able to eat in the 7th year. You're on the madrega, you're a tremendous person. You're keeping Shemitah, you're not working your land. So V'chi soimru doesn't mean V'chi soimru ma noichal, doesn't mean are we going to eat. The question is ma noichal, how is it going to happen? We know that Hashem is going to give us food to eat. How is it going to happen? What is the nace? What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to do for us? Is it going to be b'derech hateva? Is Hashem going to make it work for us b'derech hateva somehow? Or is it going to be in a more miraculous way? And that's the only question. Hashem, how are you going to do it for us this time? We want to see in what way are you going to give us our sustenance for the 7th year. And that's why it says in the Nesivos Shalom that the question is just, think for a second, the pasuk is telling you, what are we going to eat? What about everything else? Only eating? You're only worried about eating? There's not going to be any parnasa. It should be mima nichya. From how are we going to live in the 7th year? We won't be able to eat. We won't be able to drink. We won't be able to do any business. We won't be able to buy anything. It should be mima nichya. How are we going to live? How are we going to live at all? The answer is that they had no doubt that Hashem is going to supply them with everything that they need. The only question was, as we said, let's see how we're going to eat this time. Let's see what tremendous thing HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to do for us this time around. And it's to exactly that type of question, because we're talking about someone, like we said, is a tremendous believer. He's keeping Shemitah. So it's to that type of question, Hashem, how are you going to do it for us this time, that the Torah answers, V'tzivisi es birchasi, that Hashem is going to command, Hashem is going to give you the bracha. Since your emunah and bitachon are so strong and so clear that Hashem will provide, the only question is how. Then Hashem tells you, V'tzivisi es birchasi, I'm going to command that you have tremendous bracha and that you're going to lack nothing. And the bracha does not come through a ma'aseh nes. The bracha comes because if the bracha would always come through a ma'aseh nes, then you have a little bit of a chisaron over here, because we know ein soimchen al nes, and a nes could take away from someone's chusim too. So by Shemitah, the bracha comes about in what seems like a very natural way. Hashem makes it the order of the world, that somehow it seems that it's very natural and everything is sent to you as a reward for keeping Shemitah. And this is Hashem's natural order. You have complete emunah and bitachon with clarity in Hashem, and that brings you the bracha. The pasuk is actually merames this. The pasuk alludes to this when it says, "V'hoisa Shabbos haaretz lochem leachla." Think how these words are each word. You take the translation of each word. V'hoisa Shabbos haaretz lochem leachla. That the Shabbos of the earth, v'hoisa Shabbos haaretz, the Shabbos of the earth, the earth's resting is exactly what feeds you. That's what brings the bracha, the shefa bracha, ad beli dai. And it brings it naturally. And this is the reason, this is actually a lesson for us, not just for Shemitah. It's a lesson for life regarding so many things in our lives. And the lesson says in the Nesivos Shalom, the lesson here is the greater you have clarity in trusting that Hashem is going to take care of you, the greater you understand that, and the greater clarity that you have in that, that itself is what brings the bracha. That brings the bracha. That's V'tzivisi es birchasi. And the Nesivos Shalom adds even more. The Nesivos Shalom says, he adds to this, that the bracha is not just for the year of Shemitah in Eretz Yisrael. That when Hashem says that you trust in me, and I'm going to give back to you, I'm going to give you such tremendous bracha, it's not only for the year of Shemitah. The Shefa comes to Eretz Yisrael all the time because of keeping Shemitah during the 7th year. That if Shemitah is kept during the 7th year, you don't just have a bracha that in the 6th year you'll get enough food to eat for that year too. The keeping the Shemitah is the bracha that sustains and keeps Eretz Yisrael going, keeps tremendous bracha flowing to Eretz Yisrael all the time. And that is the koyach in Eretz Yisrael, where we know the pasuk tells us, Eretz asher Hashem alekecha doiresh oisa tamid einei Hashem alekecha ba bereshis hashana v'yad achris shana. The pasuk is telling us that not just during the 7th year, that because of the way you believe in Hashem and you have clarity and emunah and bitachon during the 7th year, Hashem looks at Eretz Yisrael and takes care of Yisrael, takes care of Eretz Yisrael every single year, and not just when it comes to Shemitah. And it's something phenomenal. You know, sometimes you hear something and you learn something so many times, and someone just gives you a way to look at it. And see, the Shalom says something over here, and he says, there's a phenomenon in Eretz Yisrael. He says every other land, every other country, every other place in the world where you're planting, where the land is producing, the more work you put into land, the more you work the land, the more it can produce. I mean, if you do nothing, it's not going to produce, right? The more you work, the more you put into it, the more that it produces. In Eretz Yisrael, Hashem's saying it's the other way around. It's the exact opposite. The lack of and the absence of doing work is what's going to bring you to bracha, so you're going to be able to eat. Everywhere else in the world, the more you work, you put work in, that's when you get. You don't work your land, you don't get any produce. The land doesn't produce anything. But in Eretz Yisrael, this pasuk, the resting of the land, that's what gives you to eat. That's what produces the bracha for you for now, for the Shemitah time, and for all the other years of the 7-year cycle. The not working the land, the just relying on Hashem, believing in Hashem, having emunah and bitachon, that's what gives the bracha, and that's what feeds you. Sometimes we think that the more we run to work, and the more we run to do, and the more we stay up at night and get up early in the morning and work and work and work and forget to learn and forget to daven, we think the more we put in, the more work that we put in, that's what we're going to get back. The pasuk tells you otherwise. Tells you that the more you rely, emunah and bitachon, Shabbos haaretz, you're not working, you're not doing anything, you don't have to. Hashem is looking out for you. That's where Eretz Yisrael is different than all the other lands, and that's where Klal Yisrael operates differently. A Yid who has emunah and bitachon operates differently than every other person in the world. It's the emunah and bitachon that makes the land produce, and it's emunah and bitachon in our lives that brings the bracha. The more you rely on Hashem, the more you're going to get. And that's unfortunately why we see also in the pasuk, we see not unfortunately that it's in the pasuk, but it's in the Teichacha that we're going to read in the second of this week's parsha, the Behar Bechukosai. Over and over again, the Torah tells us, it picks one thing. The Torah tells us this week over and over, because you didn't keep Shemitah, because the land didn't rest, and then after HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chas v'Shalom, he punishes Klal Yisrael, he says, Oz tirtza haaretz l'shabs l'iseh. Then, now you're going to learn your lesson. Then you're going to learn to keep the Shemitah. What's it telling us? That you have emunah and bitachon. Don't wait for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to have to teach you that the only way to get what you need in your life, the only way to support yourself is through relying on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why it works both ways. Emunah bitachon, Shemitah brings tremendous bracha for all the time in your life. And unfortunately, on the flip side, when we don't keep Shemitah, when we don't have emunah bitachon, when we believe in ourselves and we think that we could do it, we can do it without Hashem. When we think it's us, then it doesn't work. Let's learn that lesson. Tremendous lesson this week from Tzai Parshas Behar on the positive side, and Parshas Bechukosai on the other side, on the negative side. But we have to learn the complete lesson. The lesson is, the more we rely on Hashem, we don't have to work the land. The Shabbos, the resting of the land brings the bracha. The more we follow the mitzvahs of Hashem, what Hashem wants us to do, even though we think, you think you're going to take off a davening, you're going to take off a learning, or you're going to take off, how am I going to make a parnasa if I go to work, if I go to daven? Hashem's telling us this lesson this week. You do what Hashem tells you to do, you do what's right, that's how you're going to have the bracha, not in any other way. The lesson from this week's parsha is emunah and bitachon. Wish everyone a good Shabbos. Chazak, chazak, b'nis chazek.